See the Maritime Podcast, exploring the future of shipping, one wave at a time. Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 20th of January, 2026. As we settle in with our coffee, and I must say, this roast is particularly robust today.
It's excellent.
Looking out at the harbor, one can't help but pause. The view is deceptively static.
It is, isn't it?
The gray water, the steel hulls, the cranes standing like sentinels, it all looks much as it did 5, even 10 years ago.
On the surface, yes.
Yet the underlying economics of what we are observing out there have changed so fundamentally that I sometimes wonder if we are even in the same industry we joined.
It is a fair observation. I mean, if we were sitting here 5 years ago, say in 2021,
right,
the conversation would have been entirely speculative. We would have been talking about future fuels, upcoming regulations, as if they were distant thunder.
Something to worry about eventually.
Exactly. Well, eventually has arrived. Today, in January 2026, we are no longer speculating. We are living in the new normal.
And it's a landscape defined by this deep, almost, well, violent transformation. It feels as though we are navigating a perfect storm.
It really does.
On one hand, you have the relentless decarbonization mandates. On the other, geopolitical instability. The situation in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal has effectively become a chronic condition.
Requiring those long, costly detours around the Cape.
Exactly. And those detours are not just lines on a map, are they?
No, not at all. They represent millions in fuel costs and significantly higher emissions profiles for every single voyage. But frankly, the most immediate pressure point.
For everyone you've spoken to.
For everyone, yes. It isn't the geography, it's the regulatory balance sheet.
That brings us to the milestone we passed just a few weeks ago, the EU emissions trading system, the EU ETS.
Yes.
It has now reached 100% coverage of emissions. The trading rules are off.
Completely off. This is no longer a phased introduction. It's the full weight of the regulation bearing down on the profit and loss statement.
And that's a massive psychological and financial shift.
It is. In the past 2 years, while it was phasing in, there was still a sense that one could perhaps maneuver around it. Now, it is absolute. We are facing a cost explosion.
An explosion where, in many instances, the compliance costs,
the actual price of purchasing those emission certificates,
can now exceed the cost of the fuel itself.
It's a staggering thought. The tax on the fuel costing more than the fuel.
It creates a scenario where the commodity being burned is less expensive than the permission to burn it.
It changes the entire logic of shipping. And when you combine that with the carbon intensity indicator, the CII rating,
and the strictures of the Fuel EU maritime regulation,
the conclusion is inescapable. Ship Performance Management, or SPM, has graduated.
I quite like that phrasing. It used to be a purely technical task, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Something for the superintendent or the engineering department to monitor quietly in the background. A nice to have.
It was a niche interest, yes.
Yeah.
A bit of housekeeping. But today, I would argue that ship performance management has shifted from a technical niche to the central pillar of economic survival.
The operating system of modern shipping.
It is, effectively. If you are not running that operating system efficiently, your hardware, the ships themselves, becomes a liability rather than an asset.
Let's delve deeper into the economic mechanics of this, because I think some still view this as an engineering issue.
Rather than a commercial one, yes.
Why does SPM matter so acutely right now in early 2026? It comes down to the mathematics of the fuel bill, does it not?
It does. We are witnessing what I call the double savings effect. Consider the old world. If you saved a ton of fuel, you save the cost of that ton of bunkers. A simple, linear equation.
Straightforward.
Today, saving 1 ton of fuel saves you money twice.
Once on the energy cost, naturally.
Correct. But you also save the greenhouse gas levies associated with burning that fuel, the carbon tax.
So the effective price of fuel has nearly doubled.
It has when you factor in those taxes. So the return on investment for any efficiency measure, whether it's hull cleaning, weather routing, or simply better trim, is immediate and massive.
This has surely forced a management paradigm shift. I was speaking with a few ship owners and third-party managers just this week.
And their mindset has altered.
Completely. It is no longer acceptable to view energy efficiency as merely the charterer's problem because they pay for the fuel.
That argument is dead. The split incentive problem hasn't disappeared, but it's been overridden by the regulatory reality. Nor can it be viewed as a nuisance compliance exercise.
And are you seeing the same trend I am? that the days of outsourcing this entirely are waning.
Absolutely. Companies are now hiring internal experts, data analysts, hydrodynamic specialists. They are bringing this core competence in-house.
They have to, don't they? If SBM is your primary lever for profitability, you can't just outsource it. You need to own that logic.
Precisely. The goal has moved from simple cost management to value addition. Managers are positioning themselves as strategic consultants.
They're saying, we don't just crew your ships, we navigate them through the regulatory minefield to save you millions.
And to do that effectively, you cannot simply guess. You cannot rely on gut feeling or the captain's experience alone.
This brings us to the methodology. We are seeing a standardization around the PDCA cycle. It's interesting to see a general management theory become maritime gospel.
Plan, do, check, act. It is a concept as old as quality management itself, but in 2026, it is not just theory.
It's a regulatory necessity.
Mandated by the SEAM Part 3, the Ship Energy Efficiency Management Plan. Yes.
Let's walk through what that cycle actually looks like in practice today.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between the textbook and the reality on the water.
Certainly. It starts with plan. This is where you set your reduction goals and define efficiency measures for the next 3 years. It is strategic.
Looking at the fleet and saying, this vessel needs to improve its CII by 4%.
Exactly. It requires forecasting, scenario modeling. Then we move to do.
The execution.
The execution phase. Hull cleaning, trim optimization, rigorous route execution. It is the operational grinding.
Which naturally leads to check.
Continuous monitoring. You are constantly watching the CII values and verifying emissions data. And finally, act. And this is the crucial differentiator in 2026.
How so?
In the past, act might have meant a meeting at the end of the year. Now, act means immediate correction.
Because if a ship is trending towards a D or E rating, you cannot wait until December to fix it.
Absolutely not. If you hit a D for 3 years or an E for 1, a corrective action plan is mandatory. It affects your license to operate.
So ACT has moved from an annual review to a daily intervention, a dynamic loop.
That's a significant evolution. We have moved from annual paper exercises binders gathering dust on a shelf to a continuous digital flow.
A flow where sensors provide data for immediate action.
But, and there's always a but, that digital flow introduces its own challenge, data reliability.
Garbage in, garbage out, as the old saying goes.
More relevant now than ever. It is the primary bottleneck. We hear so much about AI in our sector.
Every conference seems to have AI in the title.
And yet, data quality beats AI hype every day of the week. Your most sophisticated algorithm is useless if the input data is flawed. We need a single source of truth.
And this is where the human element often introduces friction. I am thinking of the noon reports versus sensor data.
The potential for error, or dare I say manipulation, is always there in manual reporting.
A typo, or perhaps reporting good weather when it was actually rough to explain a delay.
It's unavoidable. This brings us to the tools that are actually solving this. We need systems that bridge that gap. I have been particularly impressed with the approach taken by M.A.C. System Solutions.
Their SDBnet platform, specifically.
Yes, it seems to have become the ideal tool for this specific environment we are discussing.
M.A.C. has certainly gained a great deal of traction. What is it about their approach that resonates so well in 2026? Is it just better software?
I think it's the balance they strike. Firstly, there is high acceptance. It's intuitive for both the crew on board and the analysts on shore.
Which sounds trivial, but isn't.
It's not. If the chief engineer hates the interface, you will get bad data. Usability drives compliance.
A very practical point.
But more importantly, it is their validation engine. The system automatically cross-checks the manual noon reports against high-frequency sensor data flow meters, GPS, shaft power meters.
So it's not just accepting the captain's report as gospel.
No.
Wow.
It checks for plausibility. It checks the reported data against external factors like weather wind, sea state, and AIS tracking.
It's a hybrid model then.
Exactly. It merges the human element of the reports with the machine precision of the sensors to create a defensible data set.
Defensible is the key word there. In this market, you need to defend your data against everyone.
You certainly do. Which leads us to the commercial advantage. Data is no longer just for the engineers, it is power at the negotiating table.
Let's examine that power dynamic. How does valid data change a negotiation with a charterer?
Consider the green premium. This was theoretical a few years ago, now it's very real.
So if you're an owner with validated data
that has been normalized for weather and verified by a system like M.A.C's, proving that your ships are say 5% more efficient than the market average.
You're in a very strong position.
Very. Because under the polluter pays principle, that 5% efficiency saves the charterer massive amounts in CO2 certificates.
And the charterer is paying the bill for the emissions.
Exactly. If you can prove your ship generates a lower bill, you can demand a higher charter rate. But, and this is critical, you can only demand that premium if you can prove it.
Opinions do not get you premiums, data does.
I think my ship is good gets you nothing. Here is the verified log showing 12 months of performance gets you paid. It monetizes trust.
And conversely, it works on the defensive side.
With claims.
Oh, particularly regarding claims. Disputes over speed and consumption warranties were a nightmare.
They were often settled by splitting the difference because neither side had proof.
A gentleman's agreement over an expensive disagreement? Yes. Now, we are moving from an era of opinion versus data to...
Bay versus data. Indeed. If a charterer claims underperformance, an owner using a robust system with weather-normalized data can refute that claim instantly.
Yes, we were slow, but we were pushing against a 4-7 headwind. And here's a validation.
Precisely. It avoids costly, protracted disputes, and it protects the asset value. A ship with a proven A or B CII rating is simply worth more.
It remains tradable.
Whereas a ship with a poor rating, or worse, unverified data, is a distressed asset.
Fascinating. Looking at the broader picture as we move further into this year, it seems that resilience is the watchword. We hear about future fuels.
Methanol, ammonia, yes.
But the reality on the water is slightly different. The press releases about methanol-ready new builds don't help the Panamax built in 2015.
It represents a tiny fraction of the fleet. Green fuels are the destination, certainly, but we are not there yet. In 2026, they are still expensive and frankly scarce.
The supply chain isn't mature.
Not at all. So, optimizing the existing fleet via ship performance management is the only immediate lever we have for resilience. We have to work with the steel we have in the water today.
We must sharpen the tool we have in our hand.
Precisely. We've seen how geopolitical instability forces us to change routes overnight. Those extra miles cost money and emit carbon. You cannot control the geopolitics.
But you can control how efficiently you react to them.
So if we were to summarize the state of play, what does this all mean for the year ahead?
For a fleet manager sitting at their desk today, what's the takeaway?
I would say this. Ship performance management is like a modern navigation system in a minefield of fluctuating costs. Without it, you are sailing blind. You will pay penalties, face claims, and your asset value will erode.
But with it?
With it, you find the efficient path. You save costs, you earn premiums, and most importantly, you can prove black on white that you are worth every cent. This podcast is supported by MACSystemSolutions.com, your service partner for digital efficiency, regulatory compliance, and sustainable performance in commercial shipping and maritime transport. For more information, please visit our website and see you in the next episode.